Guys, today on Pokemon Blue, I'm going to show you what I did off screen a little bit first. This is Breach, welcome back. We evolved our Caterpie and our Weedle, all the way up to a Beedrill and a Butterfree respectively. So let's go ahead and show off those Pokedex entries. In between you had Metapod at level 7 for Caterpie, and I always thought that it would learn Harden whenever you did that, but apparently not. And then, at level 10, it turns into Butterfree, which can be really awesome, but we're not going to bother using it ever again, really, unless it comes into a very, very dire situation where we have to. At level 7, Weedle evolves into Kakuna, and then at level 10 into Beedrill. Again, not really that great of a Pokemon. Did it because we had to for 151, and it was convenient to grind it out here. So we're going to put Squirtle in the front of our party, and let's go get us a gym badge. Sounds like a badass plan, right? Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, Pewter City Gym, right up here, and it is a Rock-type gym. Now, it's one of the places where it becomes fairly apparent that the Pokemon in their order are meant to be a difficulty scaling. And there, you see, you can just walk around that trainer at the beginning, but you know what? We want the experience. Let's go ahead and fight him. Not going to be too big of a deal. But like I was saying, the starting Pokemon kind of depict a difficulty curve for you for the beginning of the game. You have Bulbasaur, which would be your sort of easy mode, easy beginning, because you're not running into too many things that can hurt him too bad, and he's strong against the first two gyms. Now, Squirtle, he's sort of your medium difficulty. You know, again, not too much that's going to hurt him too bad. Steamrolls the first gym like a boss. And then the second gym, you know, even type, not weak to it. And then you have Charmander, who, you know, not really the easiest start. He's supposed to be the harder of the choices. First gym, you know, fire doesn't do much damage to ground or rock. You can get away with hurting Diglett and Sandshrew here with a Charmander, but against Brock's Pokemon, which are strict rock type, you're going to have a much harder time if you choose Charmander. Then, in the second gym, it's water-based, and he's actually weak to it, so that's actually why we picked up the Pikachu as early as we did, whenever we could find it in much easier abundance much later in the game. But here we're going to take on Brock. Brock has a level 12 Geodude and a level 14 Onix. They're not going to be any trouble at all for Squirtle, even if Squirtle was still just level 10. So, I'm going to go ahead and talk over this and ramble about, you know, different aspects of the gameplay and what's coming up, and what sort of some plans are for it. First, we're gonna alternate between showing random trainer battles on screen. This episode, I show a lot of them on screen, and it's about Celadon City. Whenever I realize, you know, we're spending a whole lot of time just fighting the same Pokemon over and over and over, and wasting time that we could be doing progress elsewhere on screen. So I do fight a lot of trainers off screen later in the game. Now, look at that, we two-shot Onix. That's Squirtle at work. And he'll be evolved before too terribly long. But that's our first badge. We got the Boulder badge. Now, as soon as Brock starts talking again, I'll be able to tell you what it allows us to do. Flash, which is HM05. I don't know why it's the fifth one that you get first. That just seems sloppy, but actually no, you can get Flash. No, you don't. You have to have Cut to get to Flash. But you know, it's whatever. I guess they put that there because there's really only one spot in the overworld that it's useful, and you can't even get to it yet. So that's why the level design for the first gym gave you Flash, so that you could at least still use it as a move in battle, since it lowers the accuracy of the enemy whenever you use it as a move in battle. And naturally, we are going to want to heal up here. We used a potion in there just to save time having to run back and forth, but might as well go to the Pokemon Center here before we go and fight a gauntlet of trainers. Yes, that is one of the other game design elements that is kind of a little tedious for this. We're also going to pick up some more Pokeballs because, I mean, we're burning through those, and, you know, there's 151 Pokemon to catch, and not all of them will get caught with the first ball. So, spend everything down to our last dollar. That's also just in case we lose to these guys. You know, we're not really losing any money. Because, I mean, it's possible. You get poisoned, we have, you know, 3 Pokemon that can do damage, really. And then 3 that are throwaways. Well, 1 that's not a throwaway, he's just needing to be trained up a bit, which is why we're tossing him in front. This was a strategy that, you know, is very common now, but most of us had to find out on our own that you can do, because every Pokemon that participates in a battle, whether it doesn't move or not, if it's shown its face in battle, it gets experience. So, whenever we were dumb and bought the Magikarp for $500, yeah, you know what I'm talking about if you've played this game, you have a level, I think he starts out at level 5 Pokemon that can't do anything. Does nothing. He does Splash, which has no effect on anything. So, you gotta find a way to get that thing leveled up, and there's not enough rare candies to do that. Eventually he'll learn Tackle, but his stats are kinda doo-doo. So, the way that we did that, and it's almost like it's designed that way, that you're supposed to do it, is you have the Pokemon you're trying to level up at the very front of the party, and you switch out to whatever you're going to steamroll the opponent with. In this case, we switched from Pikachu to Squirtle, so we could get Pikachu some experience. Now we are also going to probably work in our Beedrill at some point here, just because, you know, it's a long little stretch of trainers we have to fight. And most of them just have little weakling and little weakling Pokemon like this. And this is really a shame, this guy. He's got level 10 Caterpies, level 10 Weedles, and he'd never let them evolve. Which, you know, it's his prerogative, I guess. But if they don't evolve, he's gonna miss out on some of their best moves. Pending that he wants to be a bug trainer for his whole life, even though bugs are trash tier in Gen 1. Now this second guy is probably my favorite in the entire game with this dialogue. I like shorts. They're comfy and easy to wear. You know, I almost feel bad that we're going to wreck this kid's Pokemon as bad as we are, because that line is just awesome. That is a cool kid right there. I don't care what anyone else says. But we are going to end up using items in this battle, because even though we're using Squirtle, who's, you know, overpowered, the Rattata's quick attack hits a lot harder than any Rattata we would have. So what are some of you guys' favorite Pokemon out there? I know I've talked at length about the gameplay and my experiences with it, but I'm really kind of curious, like, what are your experiences with the game, and what are some of the Pokemon you like to play as, or play with the most? My favorite, which we'll see later on, is actually Dragonair. I always end up leveling up to Dragonite anyways, but he's my favorite. I don't really have a reason for it, except just, you know, that he's cool. There's like 4 to 5 Dragon-type Pokemon in the game, and they were supposed to be the ultimate ones, even though they're weak to ice, and, you know, Psychic really outclasses them in most of the moves, and the Dragon-type moves just suck in this game. But, I don't know, it was just always really, it felt like an accomplishment, because you get a Dratini so late in the game, and you get him at level 15, and then training him all the way up to level 60 to get a Dragonite, or 30 to get a Dragonair. It felt like an accomplishment. Now, you'll see there with the Ekans, I switched out my Beedrill for a Rattata just as kind of a throwaway slot so that, you know, I could get rid of the Leer and actually be able to stand a chance on him. And at this point, I'm just going damage control, trying to poison him, trying to slow him down for the Butterfree that I'm going to end up throwing in next. Because Beedrill's not going to survive this. It's just kind of sad at this point. But that's what happens whenever you get too careless with your Squirtle and let it die to a Rattata that is always overpowered in the computer's hands, but never seems powerful enough in yours. So we got him slowed down so that Butterfree can hopefully take him out with some tackles here. Worst case scenario, we'll throw in Pikachu and do that, because he's slowed down enough that, you know, a really weak Pikachu should still be able to get him, even though he can easily wreck Butterfree here. And we get him. I actually hadn't watched this footage the whole way through before firing it up to do post-commentary. And on that note, we are going to go heal, because, you know, the negatives for all your Pokemon fainting, it's half your money loss, but we spent all our money before we went in there, so it's like half of like 200, 300 that we just got from those two trainers. Not really a big deal. And while we're on the subject of Pokemon centers here, it's a meme I've seen a lot around the internet. You've probably seen it too. But it's in Pokemon, they have free healthcare for animals. Why can't we even do that for people? It's like, well, you know, it's A, fictional, and B, bikes also cost $1 million in this world. So, I mean, if you want that, I guess we could make it work. Not to get all political and ideological with it, but, I mean, you have to acknowledge that for anything that you want to accomplish, there's concessions you have to make to make the goal happen. Now we have another bug catcher here, and then we'll have one more battle before we can go catch some more wild Pokemon and call it a day right in front of Mountain Moon. And I apologize that the commentary's been kind of chaotic and drab today. I'm having kind of an off day, but I still want to keep up the uploading schedule for you guys, because, you know, it's really not fair to you guys if I don't. If I get you hooked on some good Pokemon crack, some Poke Crack, and just start taking it away, little by little. And, you know, Pikachu is getting up to the point about where it can start fighting for itself, especially since it has mostly special attacks. I think this kid has... yeah, he has Kakunas and Metapods that Pikachu can definitely take out on his own. And Weedle does so little damage with that Poison Sting until you get poisoned, and then it becomes apparent why you should have used something else. These bug trainers are a great way to level up your weaker Pokemon, though, because they'll have Kakunas and Metapods, and, you know, you can just toss out a weak Pokemon to, you know, hit them forever, get all the experience themselves, and, you know, they won't really take any damage unless you go into that fight poisoned, like some derpy YouTube commentator that you're watching right now. But back to what I was saying. What are some of your favorite Pokemon out there, and what are some of the stories about how you got into it? I know the wonderful thing about the internet is that we're not all the same age group. We don't all have the same experiences, and we can learn from and enrich each other by sharing those experiences with each other. So, what are yours? I know a couple of you guys out there my age who may have, you know, had Gen 1, played it all the time at school, had the cards we'd play at lunch, you know, friends opening up first edition Charizards on the playground. And then there's other people who didn't get in until Gen 3, which is a lot of people's favorite just because that's when they got started. Or Gen 2, or even like Black and White. Some people didn't even start until X and Y. So, what are some of your experiences with Pokemon? How has it shaped and changed your life a little bit? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'd be really interested to see that. And then after this fight, we're probably gonna cut the episode because we're going a little long, and we don't want, you know, another 17 minutes of me, you know, basically making super heavy commentary that makes everyone have the feels for the rest of the day. But how about that? We had a level 5 Pikachu take out that bug trainer. So we'll catch you next time. I'm gonna go back to the I might go back to the Pokemon Center and heal up. But yeah.